It seems like we've kind of moved from a time where the Democrats and the Republicans would have thought we all want to wave an American flag, we all are proud of America, we just disagree on some stuff, to where now it seems like the activist left actually hates America. They will say things like the flag of the United States is a racist symbol, or it alludes to a fascist mentality. Patriotism offends the radical left these days. And so today we're talking about the question of whether there is such a thing as inferior culture in the world. Now, Asmongold, Zach over there, got in trouble, as we probably all know by now, for saying just that religious fundamentalists in the Middle East are a inferior culture. And people will say, well, that's hateful. That is a toxic thing to say. But the reality is that the culture of the West is diametrically opposed to a lot of things which are going on in the broader world. The people who come to the United States from other countries, countries which struggled with economic, political, or religious persecution, will tell you that they're proud of aspects of their culture, but they don't want those problems from their old home countries to become a way of life in the United States. They appreciate where they came from, but they don't want that to become where we go. So just to illustrate this, let's take a look at this picture. It's a pretty well-known thing. If you go to Mecca in the Middle East, that's the Muslim holy city. You see that Muslims can go there. Non-Muslims are not allowed to be there. So just imagine if we had something like this here in the United States. Let's just say Salt Lake City is the home city and seat of the Mormons. So imagine if you were on Interstate 15 going into Salt Lake City and you see a sign like this that just says you have to get off the freeway and take a detour because if you aren't a Mormon, you're not welcome in Salt Lake City. What kind of a reaction would the radical left have to that? To say, oh, just guess what? This particular city is a religious city. You can't go there if you're not a Christian or you're not a Mormon. If you haven't been inducted into the church, then you're going to have to find another route, buddy. Well, okay. But yet we have people like Queers for Palestine who will say that we have to stand against Israel. We have to stand against anyone who wants to say anything negative about what might be seen as an inferior culture. We're not allowed to criticize these people, even if those people have an ideology that would exclude, persecute, discriminate against, and possibly even kill that very minority which is advocating for them. Which comes down to, we should want peace, but we shouldn't want peace so much that we're willing to surrender peace because we're unwilling to fight for it. We're unwilling to stand for it. And we're unwilling to acknowledge that our position we hold to be self-evident as being superior to those who do not hold our convictions of protecting people's liberty and freedom. While we're talking about what bathroom people should be able to go into, and we're debating about whether women should be able to abort their unborn children, and we're making those the big ticket issues, there's places in the world where women can't drive, where women can't show their faces, where if you were gay, you would probably just be killed. So let's put this into perspective. There is such a thing as Western culture. There is such a thing as a pragmatic liberalism that needs to be cherished, protected, and defended in the world. Now, I don't want to see DEI-driven woke stuff jammed into my video games. But that doesn't change the fact that I do want people who are weird, queer, or whatever they choose to be able to express themselves freely without fear. And we are all able to do that in the United States. We are able to do that in most of the Western countries around the world. The countries that were unified under the old British Commonwealth, the countries that were economically tied together by what was once the East India Trading Company and all of those things associated with the British Empire of late. That empire upon which the sun never sets, it still exists today. It is that NATO alliance, it is the Commonwealth, it is the United States and allies of America. I think it's important for us to be proud of who we are, to embrace an attitude of patriotism, because we are part of a stewardship of liberty, which is better, is superior to the autocracy and theocracy of places around the world, which do not afford people the opportunity to speak freely as we tend to do, to be able to have the type of debates that we're able to have. The reality is that a lot of the things that we argue about endlessly, the culture wars, are only happening because we have a free society where we don't get up every day and feel like we're going to be persecuted for our beliefs or our identity or what we have to say about something. That's why it's important for us to talk about things that we don't necessarily agree with, to take jabs at each other in public spaces, to argue and to have banter, and to not treat people who have opinions that differ as enemies of the state, or to paint people as fascists just because they say something that doesn't align with your party. But no matter where we stand on politics, no matter what side of the aisle we find ourselves on, we are part of something which is better intrinsically than cultures elsewhere in the world. That's not to say that there isn't beauty in every culture. There is beauty in Islam. There's beauty in all sorts of different cultures around the world. But that does not mean that we should be advocating for autocrats and theocrats to be treated as just as valid as we are at the negotiating table of culture. When you don't believe that you have any value superior to others, when you don't believe that you stand for anything that's special, and you're so interested in being a pacifist and being neutral and being homogenous that you don't want to fight for anything, you don't want to stand for anything, the idea of saying that we are the good guys offends you, then that's the first step toward losing things which are important, because a house divided against itself cannot stand. So no matter where we stand on the issues, let's remember we are part of the same team. We are part of a free society of peoples, and we should take pride in that. Till next time, thanks so much for watching.